Hey y'all, this is my grandmother Louise Redmond, and we're going to interview her for the Great Depression and the Grapes of Wrath project. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Okay.
Hey, Mamaw.
So, when and where were you born?
I was born August 6, 1928 in Gulfport, Mississippi, which is in Harrison County, a coastal county.
Okay. And how old are you now?
I'm 84.
And how old were you when the depression hit?
Well, actually, I wasn't but about a year old.
Okay. And
The
how?
Depression hit in 1929.
Mhm. So, how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have 2 brothers and 1 sister.
So, do you remember anything from the Great Depression?
No, actually, it was a way of life. And I, wasn't aware because I was a child and my parents did the best they could. And I thought that was the way everybody lived. There were people that had money, but the greater amount of people did not. And my father worked for $3 a week. I can remember that. And we didn't have an automobile. We lived 9 miles from town, Gulfport, and he would come home with the groceries in a croaker sack on his back. That's a burlap sack.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just normal for me.
Where did your father work?
Where did he work? He worked for the county. Glad to have it.
Mm-hmm.
What was your daily life like your schedule?
Oh, we got up in the morning. We took a bath on Saturday night in a tin tub behind the stove. And then we washed, clean. And got up every morning and brushed our teeth. My mother was very adamant about that. She cooked breakfast every morning. We had a wood stove. We used that even in the summer, no matter how hot it was. And she cooked every meal that we had. She made biscuits. She made cakes and pies. All that she baked in that wood oven, that wood stove oven. Then we'd walk to school, and sometimes we'd walk home for lunch because it was close enough, but most of the time we didn't. Sometimes we ate in the cafeteria. The school was just one building, high school at one end, we called it grammar school at the other, and had wonderful teachers. We weren't integrated at all, it was only white children. And I learned a lot. I learned more, I think, than children do today, in grammar and arithmetic, as we called it. That was school life.
Did you have a job after you graduated?
Oh, no.
No.
We lived out in the country.
Mm-hmm.
My daddy worked for the government, and we lived in a government house. And I didn't have a car of my own or anything like that. And no, I did not have a job before I married.
When did you get married?
I got married when I was 18. My husband was also 18. In 1946, we got married in Gulfport.
Were things still kind of hard when you got married?
Things didn't start getting easier until the war came along, World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started, defense work and stuff like that.
Yes, ma'am.
And my daddy got a job over in Huntsville, Alabama. We're building that Huntsville station over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember he made $66 a week, and we thought we were rich.
Mm-hmm.
That's when things started getting better.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything like specific that you remember from your childhood that was hard or anything like that?
Not really. I just remember a loving mother
Mhm.
and a loving father, and they did the best for us that they could do.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mamaw. Thank you.
Thanks, Mamaw.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, girls.
Mamaw, everybody.
Hey y'all, this is Edna Hodges and she's my grandmother and we will be interviewing her for the English 3 project. Around how old were you during the Great Depression?
Oh, I was young.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had, my father was married twice. His first wife died just to birth the baby, when the baby was born. And, so he had 5 children then. And then he married my mother, India Saddlefield, that's who she was. And then they had 6, 5 girls and 1 boy.
So 11 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
What were your county's conditions like? Like what were the conditions you lived in? Tell me about your house.
Well, in Kemper, the house wasn't too bad. It was just we didn't, it was depression and there was no money and you didn't, we farmed and you didn't make anything from your cotton. But we had plenty to eat because we raised our own vegetables and things.
Okay. What were some specific hardships your family faced?
The hardest,
What are some bad things that you went through? Some hardships.
well, we moved from Kemper County to Lauderdale. And Daddy built a house down in the field. And we, it was all trees and we had to clear that. We didn't have enough land to farm on, so Daddy would rent somebody else's land. And because it still had a lot of trees on it. And he let everybody back then had to have firewood. And he let anybody that wanted to cut the trees down for firewood, he let them do it. He let my husband do it, family. He let all the family.
What was your daily life like school and things like that?
Well, I didn't get to go to school very much because we had to work in the field. If we wasn't chopping cotton and thinning corn, when it come time to pick cotton, well, we had to stay out to pick cotton.
So everybody in your family had to work. You didn't have anybody work for you? Okay.
Well, when we had to chop cotton, well, Daddy would hire somebody to help us because it was only 3 of us girls at the time old enough to work.
Okay. Did you ever finish school, like high school?
Yeah, finished in 43.
In your free time, what kind of games did you play, like as a child?
Have you ever played hopscotch?
Mhm.
Well, we played that. We'd draw it in the yard and we'd play hopscotch. And that was about the only game that we had.
What did you do when you got older? Like, when you were maybe a teenager?
Well, when I was in high school, I started playing basketball.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Mamaw said that you would sell produce to get items that you needed from town.
What if we got a permit?
Like your hair, like got a perm for your hair?
Yeah. If we got a permit, you ain't Arlette. You remember her, don't you? Well, they owned their own beauty shop, and they had wires then that hung down, and they'd clip them to you, each curl, and so Mama would carry vegetables and things, and we got a permit that way.
What about like pencils and paper and things like that?
We would carry eggs to your papa's daddy, and he would give us paper and pencils in exchange. We never went to town to buy school supplies.
How far away from town did you live?
I don't know, Nana, how far was it?
About 20 miles. About 20 miles.
And we never went to town if we did.
Did you have a car or anything?
No.
No cars.
When if we needed shoes, well, my mother would go and buy them, and whether they fit or not, we wore them. We had to wear them because they had no way to go back and exchange them. I know it sounds unreasonable, but believe me, it was the truth.
Doesn't sound unreasonable.
Sounds pretty accurate.
And during the war, it was still a depression, but sugar was rationed and meat was rationed, and you couldn't buy stockings, and
What was Christmas like? Like, what did you do?
we'd get an apple and an orange and a candy cane.
That's all you had?
That's what we had.
What about for birthdays? Did anything special happen for birthdays?
My mother would make us a rag doll and stuff it until we got too old for that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We really appreciate you letting us do this.